Welcome to the fourth cloning tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to discuss how to set unique indexes for each clone so that they can index into lists. I'll set up a small project here. It's a simple platform game. If I run the code, it says press spacebar to play, which is what this custom block does, wait to start, and when I've pressed it, it broadcasts start game. All it is a very simple platform game. I can't go down, all I can do is jump upwards. What I want to do is add some coins for this cat to collect. So let's stop the code and go into this coin sprite, which is currently empty. So first of all, I'm going to work out where to put the coins. I'm going to create two new lists. One called coin X, which is for all sprites, and another one called coin Y. This is where I'll store the X and Y coordinate of each coin. Now to work out where I'm going to put the coins, there's a nice technique here. I can actually make the coin visible. I think I'll have my first coin over here. And see, it shows me the coordinates I've put it to, there and there. So for the X coordinate, I'm going to add 171, and for the Y coordinate, I'm going to add -141. The next coin I think I'll have on this level over here. So again, I can use the coordinates at the bottom of the screen, -117. And -50. I'll have another coin here, which is at 10,38, and I think I'll put the last coin over here at 183,136. So that's my coordinates all set up. So I can hide those lists now. And I'll add a little bit of code in. So when the green flag is pressed, we're going to create clones at those coordinates. There's a couple of ways we can do this. I could make an index variable. So let's make a variable for this sprite only called index. And what I could now do is set index to 1. And repeat for all my entries in the list. So I would repeat for the length of coin X or length of coin Y, they're both the same. And I would go to the position in the list, which will be item index of coin X, comma, item index of coin Y, and create a clone. So that will create a clone of the sprite at those coordinates, and then move on for the next entry in the list. So we change index by 1. And then just so that we're aware the master sprite is actually still being displayed, I'm going to move the final one. I'm going to move him back to the center of the screen after all the clones have been created. And I'll make him a different color. So I'll set his color effect just to make him stand out a little. And I'll make sure when we start, the graphics effects are clear. So now, when I run the code, it creates the 4 clones as I expected, and the master clone is still visible in the middle. But I don't actually want any of the coins to be displayed at this point because I haven't pressed spacebar to start the game. So what we'll do is we'll start off by hiding the master sprite. So every time a clone is made, because it's a copy of the master sprite, it'll be at different coordinates, but it will be hidden. So if I run this now, I can't see any of the coins. So when I press the spacebar, it broadcasts a start game message. So let's add a receiver in here. When I receive start game, let's make the coins visible. They've already been positioned, all the clones are in place. So this message will be received by the main sprite and all of the clones. So let's see what happens. I'll run the code, press spacebar, and the main sprite and all of the clones are now visible. Usually in this type of game, I only want to work with the clones. I don't want to see the main sprite, so I need to differentiate, and we discussed this in the last tutorial. I'll create a variable called clone question mark, because it's going to be true or false, and it's going to be for this sprite only. When the green flag is pressed, we know that he isn't a clone. And when I start as a clone, I know that this is a clone. So I'll set up the variables for this sprite only variables, so I can identify which is a clone and which is not. And then when I start the game, I will add a simple check. If the clone is true, and then we'll show him. So this will only show the clones and it will not show the original master sprite. So again, let's run this code, press spacebar, perfect. I can see the 4 clones, I can't see the master. Now I'm going to add some code so that I can actually collect the coins. So when I've started the game, it shows the clones, and I'll go into a loop. That says if I'm touching the cat, then we'll just delete the clone. Normally I'd add some points or something, but this will show that he's touching the cat. And this is running, as I said, it's received by all the clones. All the clones are running this code. If I run it now, spacebar, they all appear. If I touch a coin, it gets deleted. But I want something special to happen when I've touched the 3rd coin from the list. This was the 1st coin, 2nd coin, 3rd coin, 4th coin. In fact, I'll make it happen when I touch the 2nd coin. But how do I know which the 2nd coin is? This is where I need to introduce the clone indexes. So I will create a variable called clone index. For this sprite only, because it's going to be different for each clone. I'm going to change this from setting index to setting clone index. So I'll change that to clone index, and this to clone index, and this to clone index. And so when the first clone is created, it will have clone index equals 1. Then it will be incremented, so when the 2nd clone is created, it takes a copy with clone index equals 2, and the 3rd with index is 3, and the 4th with clone index is 4. So they all now have a unique clone index. So if I put in here, before they delete this clone, if the clone index is 3, no, is 2, I'm doing the 2nd one up. The clone index is 2. I'm going to broadcast an event which I've already set up. Broadcast special cat before deleting the clone. So now let's see what happens. I can collect the 1st coin, 2nd coin, and something special has happened. It recognized that it was a 2nd coin because it had the unique clone index. There's something else I can do to neaten this code up now I have the index set up. Instead of having to move the master sprite and clone every time in this loop, I'm going to take this code out of there and put it into when I start as a clone, because the 1st clone has clone index 1, the 2nd clone index 2, so they can reference into the lists themselves when they're setting up. So if I run this, it will work exactly the same, but the code is a little bit neater. The clones are actually setting themselves up from the list. It still works as expected. Now what I want to happen is that when I collect the coin number 4, I want the level to end, I want the game to finish. So we're going to achieve this again using lists, but this time the lists are going to be used by the level sprite to examine data from the clones. I'm going to set up another list for all variables, and I'm going to call it collected. I've done it with a capital C because it's for all sprites, and a question mark because it's going to be true or false. So at the beginning of the game, I'm going to make sure the list is empty. I'm going to delete all of collected. And each time I add a new clone, I'm going to add false to collected. So the first clone will add item 1 will be false, second clone item 2 will be false, and so on. Now I'm going to make it so that when I collect a coin, so that when I'm touching Scratch Cat, I actually update the list entry. So I will replace item clone index of collected with true, so that if I've collected coin 2, it will update item 2 of the list, and coin 3 item 3, and so on. Let's just show that list while I'm playing the game. Starts off, I haven't collected anything, they're all false. Let's collect number 2. You see it's gone to true. Let's go up to the top one, collect number 4. And so it's updating the correct element of the list in relation to the clone. So what I can do with this is I can go back to the level code and say I've started the game, and then I'm going to wait until I've collected the top coin. So wait until item 4 of collected is true. And once that happens, I'm going to pause just for a moment before broadcasting that the game is over. So let's see, well, let's remove the list from the screen. And see how this goes. So press spacebar, collect a few coins, get to the last coin. Second later, game over. The only thing left to do is delete all the clones at the end. Once the level is finished, as mentioned before, we want to always be in control of this, so we'll delete all the clones. So I'll simply add an event to the coins that says when I receive end game, delete this clone. So any remaining clones will receive this, as will the master sprite. But that doesn't really matter because you can't delete the master sprite. Delete this clone for the master sprite does nothing at all. So all that code will do is delete all of the clones. Let's give that a quick go. Press spacebar to start. Special cat in action. Collect the coin 3. Click the final coin, waits for a second, game over. So there we've worked out how we can have unique indexes for each clone and how we can use those to pass data into the clones with lists and also to pass data out from the clones with lists.